Hello everyone! I've been meaning to make this video for the longest time, ever since I saw it like a few weeks ago on somebody's channel that I don't even remember now. But it was a video that was about underrated books, and I really wanted to do this because there are a lot of underrated books that I love. So let's just get started with this because my mom's coming home and I don't want her to be home while I'm filming videos because that's really awkward, so yeah. The first author I'm going to talk about, I've already talked about in my last video a little bit, and people are starting to get interested in her, which I'm really happy about because she's amazing, and I love her, and she's so underrated. And that is Sarah Pinborough. While I was in high school, these were the books that basically re-sparked my love of reading, because after I got into The Outsiders, Matthew Hinton, and then I moved to here, to this state, I didn't really read that much. I kind of just was in like this depression because I was away from my friends, and this kind of brought me out of the depression in a weird way because these are horror books and they're incredibly dark and sick, but I love them. I have most of her books, or maybe all of her books, published by Leisure Fiction, which is a American company which is based in England. Well, it's not, it's like the American version of the English company, Dorchester Publishing. So I have this, The Reckoning, which was published in 2005, which is actually published before this, actually. I should have showed this first. The Reckoning is a ghost story about three kids who encountered a ghost when they were little, or 4 teens who encountered a ghost when they were little, and then years later, when they're older, they go back to the same house, and the ghost is still there. So it's really good. Then there's The Taken, another ghost story, which is about this girl who basically dies in a thunderstorm, and years later, that was like 10 years ago, or no, was it 20? Hold on. 30 years later, she comes back to life and starts terrorizing people of the town. So it's awesome. I love this one. This was probably my second favorite of her novels, and it's so good. Then there's Tower Hill, which is probably my least favorite of her books, which is still good, but it's about these kids who are at Tower Hill, which is a school, like a private school, which is on the cliffs of these high cliffs. They're perched on the top of the hill, and crazy stuff happens. I don't want to spoil it because there's a pretty good twist in this book, so it's good. It is really good, but I didn't really like it as much as the other ones because there's not as much supernatural aspect to it, but I still liked it. And then when this book came out, I was freaking excited. It's the sequel to Breeding Ground, Feeding Ground. Because at the end of Breeding Ground, I instantly wanted more, and I actually emailed the author, and I was like, Sarah, you need to write a sequel, okay? And then she kind of like gave this hint that she was writing a sequel, like she was like, well, maybe if my publisher wants it, and this happened, and I was like freaking excited because I feel like I kind of influenced an author to write a sequel. Probably not, but I feel like I did, so I'm gonna say that. And this one is like, I haven't read this one actually. I started it and I just didn't read more for some reason. Not because it was bad, but because I haven't read Feeding Ground or Breeding Ground in forever, and I was like, okay, I wonder if this character was in the old book because I don't remember. So I'm gonna reread Breeding Ground and then read this because I really want to read this. I've been wanting to read this for years, but I just haven't done it yet. And I think I'm gonna have like a October month where I'm just gonna read all her books again, because I love her, and I think she's wonderful. And also, I think that she is a Whovian because she wrote a book about Torchwood. She wrote a frickin' book about Torchwood, and I didn't know what it was at the time. I was like, okay, what's this? I don't know what this is. And now that I know what it is, I'm like, holy crap, Sarah, you're even more awesome. And she also gave me writing advice, so I'm biased. I love her. She's wonderful, and she's sweet, and I love her so much. And she loves wine, too, so I think her and Danny will get along very well. The next book I have is Dead End by Jason Myers. This came out, I think in 2011, last year, I'm pretty sure. And it is about these 2 kids, Gina and Drew, who are they're in love with each other, and it's like, I think in their senior year of high school, maybe they're in high school, and something happens that makes them have to go on the run, and it is just so good. It's so incredibly dark, and I just love it so much. I think it's so underrated, and it's just brilliant. I love this author so much. Again, his books are incredibly dark, so keep that in mind, but just brilliant, just a brilliant man. He is just awesome. Then one of my favorite books of all time, it's in my top 5 favorite books. I freaking love it, and I don't think it gets enough praise that it deserves, and that is With or Without You by Brian Ferry. This recently won an award, so I'm not saying that this is completely underrated, but I think that more people should read it. More people should read LGBT literature in general, actually. But this is my favorite LGBT literature novel that I've ever read, and I love it so much, and I love Eric. Eric is wonderful, and I've talked about Eric in like the last 3 videos that I've made, but seriously, if you can't get it through your head that I love Eric, I don't know what's wrong with you. This also has incredibly mature content, but I think it is a book that everyone should read, if you're able to handle mature content at least, because it has so many important lessons about life that I think everybody should read about in some point in their life, because it is just brilliant, and I love you, Brian. You are amazing. Amazing. While we're on the subject of LGBT literature, I'm going to mention David Levithan, who I think does get a lot of praise. I'm not saying he doesn't, but I think he deserves more of it because he's amazing. I have The Realm of Possibility and the Love is a Higher Law novels, which are amazing. I love them for very different reasons. This book is like a bunch of characters whose lives intertwine, and it's very well good, really well done. Very well developed characters, even though this book is so freaking short, and there's like 20 characters per chapter, well, 1 chapter per character or something, and it's so amazing. I love this book so much. Everything in this is just brilliant. My favorite stories are Smoking. I love Smoking. Let's see. I think Gospel was amazing. The last story was amazing. Love this book so much. And Love is the Higher Law is his book about people during 9/11 that were kind of coping with the event that took place on that day. And it has some very important themes in this book. And the reason I love this book so much, besides the characters and the amazing writing, is the fact that he wrote about how during 9/11, gay people could not give blood to the people that needed it because it was a bigoted law. The gay blood ban was a bigoted, stupid law that basically suggested that every single gay person who ever had sex in the history of the world has AIDS, and that was incredibly bigoted and stupid because none of these kids could like help at all for the people that actually needed blood. So these stupid bigots that stopped them from doing it, like they basically killed people. I have no sympathy at all. I hate people like that. And that's what I'm going to say. I don't care if that's controversial. I don't care. They fucking killed people because they banned gay blood. I think that's fucking insane. Okay, sorry, rant. That pisses me off so much. Another LGBT novel that I actually love is Bait by Alex Sanchez. This is actually my most popular review, which I'm really happy about. Thank you for watching it. I really hope you liked it. And it's a really great book about a kid who someone looks at him funny and he basically punches him out because he thinks he's gay. And so it's about him discovering why he does this and discovering stuff about his past. And I loved it. It was so dark and so good. It's so good and so underrated. I never hear hardly anyone talk about Alex Sanchez except for like Melissa and I think Blythe, and a few other people, but I love him so much and I think he's just a brilliant author. So I recommend this book a lot. It is so good. Then there's Ballads of Suburbia by Stephanie Kienert, which was recommended to me by Melissa. Me and Melissa are like obsessed with this author and all these books pretty much actually. This book is about a girl named Kara, and Kara lives in Oak Park, which I believe, is it in San Francisco? I can't honestly remember. It's in a town where these kids are kind of like dealing with drugs and all this other dark stuff that they shouldn't be dealing with at their age, but they do. And it's really good. Great characters, brilliant story, brilliant lessons. It's just so good. It is so good. I love it so much, and I really want to reread it because I'm kind of drawing a blank at some of the things that I loved about this book. But it's so good. I really loved it, and I can relate to a lot of the characters in this. Even though I haven't like done drugs myself, like the other issues that they deal with, I have experienced some of them. So I just have so many feels for this book. It is so good. And then the final book I'm going to talk about is Nicholas Dane by Melvin Burgess. which I really, really want to reread because I really loved this book when I first read it, or the only time I read it. And I just saw a chapter that was called Tony Creel, and that reminds me, I already said this before, but I freaking hate Tony Creel, so yeah. It's about a boy named Nick, obviously, and he is living in, I forget what town it is, but he's in in the UK, and oh yeah, it's after his mother dies. I'm sorry, I drew a blank. I haven't read this in a while. But his mother dies, and he gets sent to a child care facility, kind of like an orphanage, and dark stuff happens there, let me just say. And I'm so glad I read this book. It's so good. It has so many great lessons. All of these books have amazing lessons in them. Well, except, I guess Sarah Penborough's books are an exception because she's just awesome horror creepiness. But I'm sure there are some themes in there that I could find that I could, you know, depict and peel apart and stuff. I don't know. I'm getting tired. But I love this book. I highly recommend it. It's so, so good. It's so dark. Again, dark, mature content. I think all these books have mature content in them, so keep that in mind. And Sarah Penborough is an adult author, so there are sex scenes, so keep that in mind as well. I'm not saying that adult authors write about sex, but I'm just saying that there is. It's just because. It's just there. So, yeah. And those are books that I consider to be underrated. I hope you all enjoyed this. I would love to hear more suggestions for books in the comments of books that are underrated because I'm always looking for more. I think that so many authors need to be recognized, and I love authors, and I love giving back to the community and stuff. So, yeah. I hope you all enjoyed this. I am happy I made this video. I'm tired though. I just worn myself out with all these videos. So I'm gonna go. And yeah, I love you guys. Bye-bye.